Today I'm talking with the pastor's wife of First West, my first lady, and Mama 4, Abby Wood.
Hey.
Today she'll be sharing about her recent mission trip to Guatemala, and I just can't wait to hear all about it. So thank you, Abby, for making this work. You know, we've actually been trying to make this work for a long time. I actually reached out to her about a year ago, and we were going to talk about whatever, something different then, but schedules just couldn't align. But now we're finally here, and I'm so glad we're able to do this.
So glad to be here and that we can talk about this trip. It was awesome.
Yeah. So what made you want to go on a mission trip to Guatemala? Like, how did that come about?
So the idea initially came from my husband, Michael. He said he'd like me to consider going with our oldest son, Gavin, which I thought sounded like a great opportunity, but I'm the one of the bunch that has a hard time just making the commitment and saying, yes, let's plan it. You know, he has to help me with making decisions and like that. So I said, I'll pray about it. And I just felt like the Lord was leading us to go. And so we started making plans.
All right. And this mission trip was kind of connected with Compassion International?
Yes.
Yeah. So how did you get connected with them, and how is that connected with Guatemala and all the things?
Sure. So our first connection with Compassion was 15 years ago. We knew that you could sponsor a child, and we had just had our oldest. He was a baby. So we want to start sponsoring a child, and with Compassion, you can pick a country or you can pick a child with a certain birthday. They have ways you can kind of search for certain things like that. And so we thought it'd be fun to have a child with his birth date. So we searched that on their site and found a little boy named Savior who lives in Uganda. He was 4 at the time, and now he is 19, which is crazy.
That is pretty crazy.
So he's in Uganda. But as far as the connection to Guatemala, a couple years ago, our church helped to fund the start of a compassion center in Guatemala.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted a place where we could easily travel to and that people would be able to get to more easily. So that was, one of the reasons for that country. And so we were starting the center, and the church had a compassion day, and they had these packets lined in the hallway. And we said, we wanted to sponsor a child from this center as well. And we let our daughter choose that we were going to get a little girl this time. And so she chose a little girl named Ellie. She liked Ellie's pink dress in her picture, and also that it said that Ellie liked to dance. So
yeah, because your daughter's a dancer too, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So we ended up with Ellie as well in Guatemala.
All right. And so do you still sponsor the other one as well?
Yeah.
He's 19. I asked that because, I'm a part of World Vision, and they kind of aged them out around 14 or 15 because I've had several children to the program now. So I was like, okay, is that still happening?
Yes. And I had started to wonder, wow, he's 19. Like, I wonder, when we'll be not being able to sponsor anymore. And I found out that it just depends on the country, but we do still get to sponsor him. He's probably nearing the end of that time, but he is still in school. And so, yes.
Okay. So what has that experience been like?
Yeah.
Anything you didn't expect or...
Yeah, it's been great. I think there probably are not as many things that you could have such a great return on investment than sponsoring a child through Compassion. The cost is really doable, and that with that, you're making a huge difference in their lives. So just the benefit that they get, the schooling, the health care, food and water, and just the difference it makes in their family as well. So I actually learned from our mission trip leader on this trip that one sponsorship actually helps 12 people in the family. So it's a benefit to a lot of people. So, yeah.
So it's more than just a family. It's like the community.
Yes.
Yeah. How much does it cost, for a month?
It's $43.
Okay.
So we can spend that easily at Chick-fil-A in one meal,
Yeah. Yeah. For mine, it's just 35. But,
okay.
But, they're a little bit different programs and that kind of thing.
That it's also awesome. You get to send letters back and forth to each other, which is fun. And of course, when the kids are little, they'll draw pictures, send you pictures, or the staff will help ask them questions and write a letter with them. But as they get older, it's really neat. I mean, they'll start to be able to write them themselves. And of course, Savior being 19 now, he writes his letters. And I wanted to share with you something that he had said, because in one of his recent letters, I guess he knows too, he's probably nearing the end of the time. And it just really melted my heart what he said. He said, "Dear my friends, I don't know what I should do to you for what you're doing for me. You have started supporting me and taking care of me since I was young. Up to now, you are taking care of me. May the Lord reward you abundantly." So it was just really a blessing to see my gift a month that's not even, that difficult has just made this huge difference. And it's just awesome that the Lord's given us that opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. What has this program, how has this impacted your kids? You've been doing this since your oldest was a baby. So, it's been around your family.
Mm-hmm.
How has it impacted your kids?
Yeah. So I wish I could say that we were just awesome letter writers and sending pictures and, getting our kids involved. And we really have had to grow in that. You've got to make that a priority when you are living life and you got all these kids you're taking care of. So we've gotten better about it, though. And I will say the Compassion app has been very helpful. Someone told us about that and we downloaded that. That makes it so much easier to send letters. You can just do it right from your phone. You can add pictures and you type it out. You can even set it up to send reminders to you to write letters and pray for them or whatever. So that's been really helpful and it has helped us to do that. But now having this connection to Guatemala and having met Ellie in person, it's been fun to be able to show our kids pictures of her and, include them a little more because we've had this more personal connection. So that's been fun. My husband, Michael, got to meet Ellie and her mom a couple of years ago. A few of our pastors took a trip down there as an initial trip. And so he got to meet her and her family. And actually, at the time, it was really sweet. Our daughter picked out a little stuffed cat for him to give her.
Yeah.
And she still has it.
Oh,
so we got to see her with her little cat. I know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we've been able to include our kids that way. And actually, while we were there this time, she, of course, wanted to know where was Michael. That was her first question. I'm like, I'm sorry. He's home with our other kids, but, taking care so Gavin and I could come. But she did get to see him through FaceTime. So that was fun. Gavin had that idea and I'm like, we'll give that a try. And it worked. And so she was actually able, a couple of our kids were able to see her on FaceTime and got to wave. They're pretty shy, but, to wave to her. And anyway, so that was fun. But we did find out only 1% of sponsored children get to meet their sponsors. And so that was fun that we'll get to have this extra special friendship.
Yeah, that is really special. So how did Gavin get to be the chosen one to go with you? How did that work?
Well, he's the oldest. So we started with him. And actually, I think you have to be 12 to go on the trip.
Okay.
Yeah, your next in line son, he's very aware that he's about to turn 12. So.
That's fun. Yeah. So I'm the oldest in my little family. So I was like, oh, this is being the oldest.
Yes, absolutely.
The chosen favorite. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, you went to Guatemala, but have you been anywhere else before?
Not a lot. A couple times just on family trips. We went to Costa Rica, Cozumel. I did spend one day on a choir mission trip. We went down into Mexico, but it's been a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So nothing quite like this one.
Mm-mm.
Cool. When you first got there, anything you first noticed or had any thoughts or, oh, wow, this is, different?
Yeah, kind of funny, but very first initial thing was like, oh my word, they have phones. It was so funny. I was the official photographer, you'd say, for the trip, which mostly I just meant I brought my phone and was making sure that we got pictures and things like that. And I was really concerned that I would have my phone out too much, But when we got there, we pulled up and they were all outside and they were in the street and greeting us and they all had their phones out and were taking pictures and videos. And actually one guy had a drone. We're like, oh my word, there is a drone. And so that was we were all really surprised by that. And so that was funny. We did learn later that their experience with phones is not the same as ours. I mean, our translator was like, they're not iPhones and they don't have a monthly phone bill. It's kind of like a calling card. They'll just go and maybe put minutes on it when they need to or something like that. But anyways, I loved that they had a way to capture our trip and to remember us as well. And one time when I was visiting Ellie's home, I looked down and I was like, oh my word, this kid, he'd been videoing and he was going strong on a 17-minute video of our visit there. So it was funny. But on a more serious note, first impression of the Compassion Center and the children, just pure joy. They had the biggest smiles. They gave the best hugs. They don't smile in their pictures. So when you get your new picture of your child, each time they situated, they're not smiling. But in person, they are very joyful. They, the children were so precious. And they're just really excited that we came. when you first get there, the children are all out in the street. They have a banner in front of them, you'd see at a parade. The parents were lining the street. And
wow, that is some kind of welcome.
It was. Also, they did have some fireworks. And so, Gavin was helping do video for the trip, and I was taking pictures. So we were right there up at the front, and it was like a line of, I guess, black cats. I don't know.
Oh.
And so, as it kept going, Gavin and I were like, oh, back up. It was quite a welcome. So then we walked through, and as we passed the children, they were all like shouting, hola. Hola, hola. So they really speak mostly Mayan in this area, but the children are learning Spanish. And so some of them could speak Spanish, but it was so sweet.
And I think that's fascinating. I didn't know that language even was still around. That's really cool, because knowing the history of that, that continent really, or that part of the continent.
Yeah. So we had to have two translators. We had to have one for Spanish, one for Mayan. So I've learned a little bit of Spanish. I took Spanish and, of course, had Duolingo helping, to freshen my Spanish. But, so I was able to speak to some of the children, but really like Ellie's family, they really do mostly speak Mayan, and she's still young. So she is still learning Spanish. So,
wow. How different is Mayan from Spanish? Is it really different?
It sounded pretty different. Wow. I guess it's Kekchi, I think, is the official language name. But
I've heard of that name.
It was different.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow. And so just from, we had different translations of the Bibles, because up until this conversation, I would have thought they speak all Spanish. I wouldn't even have entered my mind that there's another.
Yeah, we had to
there. That's
had to have
cool.
two translators.
Wow.
It's quite something.
Wow. All right. So did anything just match your expectations? This is kind of what I thought it would be, or?
I knew it was going to be great, but it really exceeded my expectations. It did not. I just underestimated how amazing it would be to meet Ellie in person and to see our Compassion Center. Just knowing that our church was able to fund the start of this was so awesome, to see this whole center and what's going on. We were a part of that.
Yeah.
And just seeing the fruit of that investment was really rewarding. And just to meet Ellie and her family and get to know them in real life, it was priceless. So from the letters, you can't really tell what your child's personality is like. And so getting to be there in person is really neat. I learned that Ellie has a very playful, fun personality.
Yeah.
She was not reserved, and she was really into playing the games. So one of the days it was our fun day. We knew we were going to go and get to play with them. But before that, we were visiting and sitting down with her mom, and we're about to wrap up that visiting time. And I could tell she was starting to get antsy. There was some kids playing over at the other side of the room, and she cut her eyes over there. Yeah. And I was like, oh, she is really ready to play. And so when they said it was time to play, she was up at it. She was the first one in line. She was first one to do the game. And just between games, she just bouncing up and down, ready to go. She couldn't wait for the next one. And it was just precious. And I could also tell that she was very quick. And I could tell too, she was really wanting to win. She was really trying to win, trying to help her friends figure out what to do. And anyways, I have a competitive kid at home.
Yeah.
And she reminded me so much of him. And it was just so neat. And I thought, gosh, I would never know that if I hadn't have been here,
Yeah.
So it was really fun to get to know her little personality in that way.
Another layer.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. What are some other things that y'all did when you were there? I know you saw the center and you met with your sponsored child, but what else did y'all do when you were there?
Sure. So the first day they had all the children from the Compassion Center were there, and that's where they came out to greet us, and they had a little program. They sang a couple songs for us, which is so sweet. And then we went to visit homes, do some home visits. So we split up in teams, and then each team went to a couple homes. So it was really an honor to be in their homes and very humbling, of course. It's very different from our experience here in the States. And so, but it was really neat. I actually got to go in Ellie's home. She was one of the homes that we visited. So we were able to meet, her family, and I found out there's 8 people who live in their home, and she's the youngest. So the mom actually shared that they have 4 grandchildren. So I believe one of the little boy taking a 17-minute video, I think he was a grandchild, actually.
Oh, wow.
And so that I met her daughter-in-law. Ellie's grandmother was there. The mother's sister was there. And of course, they were all cooking. And I mean, they're out there making tortillas like 3 times a day and all that. But it's neat to get to meet her family. Her dad was not there. He was at work. He works 6 days a week for 12 hours, and bus comes and picks him up, and he works farming at a factory. And so they'll come pick up the workers, and it's like a 30-minute ride. He leaves at 4 a.m, found out. And so Ellie's mom is waking up at 3 a.m. to make his breakfast and lunch that he's got to bring, and he's home for dinner. So that was neat to get to know more about their family. And we got to go out in her backyard, and she has some ducks back there. They had ducks, and they actually had a mint plant.
Okay.
And she showed this to me, and I was like, oh, I've had mint before. And so when I got home, I bought a mint plant. And so in our next letter, I'm going to let her know we have mint too in our house now. So we did that the first day. The second day was fun day. And that's when we were going to they only had the children's whose sponsors were on the trip were there that day. And so we got to visit with them a little further. And that's when we were playing the games together. Like I said, we had 2 translators speaking there with us. So, and that was a day too for us to give gifts to the children. Okay. We did bring a gift to the home. Compassion had a basket put together, like a food basket, to bring to their home that day when we did the home visits.
Yeah.
And I had also given her mom some gifts that day. So one of the gifts that I was so surprised that they really enjoyed so much was on that home visit. One of the gifts I had given was a washcloth, because we had heard they don't really have washcloths there. And so we did that, and it was so cute because the next couple of days she was carrying that around with her when we saw her, and they just don't have that there. But I mean, she was patting her little face with it, and so I was like, wow, like who would have thought out of all the things we give, that a washcloth was, and we gave several, too. But anyway, so on fun day, you can give them whatever gift you brought for the child. And we had, of course, taken our kids to the store. Our daughter picked out this really cute, shiny and pink backpack. And so we gave her that and had some gifts inside of that. And so that was fun. But anyways, yes, the washcloth was a favorite. And then the very last day, we joined them for their church service. And it happened to be a special Sunday that they were there. They were celebrating the pastors. There was like I'm not sure what their denominational kind of setup is, but there was some denominational leaders like from the region that were there and celebrating the pastors. I think the pastor was having an anniversary for being the pastor at that church. And so that was neat to see. And then it was a special Sunday where they were commissioning leaders for the next year of the church. They brought these husband and wife couples, and they lined the front of the stage, and they had them kneel down and we're praying over them. They were making this commitment to their church to to be about ministry that next year. And that was incredible to see, just to know, like, hey, they love the Lord here too. They're doing ministry here too. Like, these are the people that are going to be pouring into the people of their community. They want to see lives change just like we do.
I like how you're saying it was the couples together, not just one or the other, but together.
They were together. They were on a mission. So it was awesome. We did have some funny moments at church. There was a dog came in, laying down. I mean, they don't have there was open, no door, So the dog came in, was laying down, and that was so funny. I did see a baby hanging from a church pew, like the mom. I said, Mom came in and kind of like, you see a stork carrying a baby, like with a sling. It was this big, like sling looking contraption. Yeah. She carried the baby in this and just hung the baby right there on the church pew. We were like, this is so funny. And at one point, the leaders were passing out Cokes. I mean, the leaders went out and they came back with these huge, big old barrels up on their shoulder, and they had Cokes, orange juice, and bread. During the sermon.
That was me there.
During the sermon. It was so funny. Like, oh, Howard, he is preaching and we passing out snacks.
Yeah. Maybe they noticed he's long-winded or something.
I don't know. Yeah. It was awesome.
Yeah. All right. So what was your favorite moment or event that happened while you guys were there?
Yeah. So I really think my favorite moment was with Ellie, was just like I was saying when they were playing games. It was really fun just to have that time with her and get to cheer for her and all that. She just enjoyed that so much. But another really special moment that happened when we got back from the home visits. So that morning we'd been there was a little girl named Natalie. And she was an outgoing little precious girl. And so several of us got to, enjoy getting to meet Natalie. But when we came back from visiting the homes, she just came running up and she said, Abby, Abby. And our translator shared with me that Natalie's mom had a gift for me, that she had remembered Pastor Michael from the first trip. And so she wanted to give me a gift. So they took us to the office and I met her mom in there, and she gave me a traditional Guatemalan dress.
Wow.
Yes. So I really feel like it's probably the most generous gift I've ever been given, because our translator shared with me later that is usually the most expensive thing that they own.
Oh.
So for her to get off, she's like, this is so humbling. That was really neat. Yes. And I got to wear it on Sunday at church. And so they, that was really special. And they just loved that. I mean, they were all like, let's take a picture together, because that's what they were wearing to church. So
wow, that's really cool.
It was fun.
Wow. Well, was there anything that you were intimidated or just apprehensive about, like going on this trip or anything?
Yeah, absolutely. So I really feel like the most intimidating part for me was just at the very beginning, just planning the trip, thinking about like, how are we going to pay for this? There's two of us going, but the Lord totally provided. So for anyone else who hears this, and I feel like that's probably a concern for a lot of people, like, planning on going on mission, like, just the financial part of committing to that and going for that. So I hear you if that's a concern for you, and just I hope you'll be encouraged just to trust the Lord to provide. He totally did. So that for me was like, awesome.
How do you feel like, the situation and, you being able to go on this trip has impacted your relationship with God?
So he just reminded me that he's got us covered. And if he calls us to go on a trip, he's going to provide for us. And so he did. It was awesome.
So has this trip, do you feel like, has it changed your perspective any? Or why should somebody go on this type of mission trip? What's the importance of that?
Yeah. So going on this trip, it's different from, what you think of as a mission trip. I really kind of was like, in the beginning, struggle with that a little bit, because I'm like, we're not going to build a home or paint for the, whatever. Like they want to save those kind of things for jobs, to not take away a job from the people that live there, but getting to go to be an encouragement, really, and to say, hey, we're here and we love y'all, and to encourage them. It just really gave life to my view of compassion and sponsorship. Just being able to see with my own eyes how wonderful these people are and how special they are, and just this relationship that we can have with them, the connection between our churches, and just to encourage them. And of course, we took like suitcases full of things for the center and for the children. And it was really neat. Actually, what was so funny, I thought this was an awesome idea, but a couple of people on the trip thought to bring First West t-shirts.
Oh,
so one day we're there at the center. I'm like, oh, this little boy is in a First West t-shirt. Like, it was so fun.
Yeah.
So just being able to have that partnership and be like, hey, we're here and we love you.
To really be the hands and feet,
Yes.
It is a true partnership to do it financially, be it like from afar, but to do it up close, it's really different. So.
Yes. In one of the home visits, there was one of the dads there, and it wasn't a home I was in, but they told us, the team about it later. But the dad was just really standoffish. Like when they were in the home with the translators, he was just like in the background, kind of in the doorway, just kind of checking things out.
Yeah.
And so as they kept talking, they said he would move closer and closer and closer. And they finally, turned to him and it's like, maybe is there anything you have, any questions or whatever? And they said he just talked and talked and talked. And he said, I just really didn't know that this was really for real. I didn't really believe that this whole, there's really someone out there that cares about us and is praying for us. And they said, today, I know that this is really real, this, So it was really neat.
Yeah. That's super like, wow.
Yeah. But, just getting to meet Ellie and her family was wonderful. And her mom said, you're our family. And, like, well, you're our family too, know. And also just as far as one of the awesome reasons to get to go on that trip is getting to find out things that you wouldn't have otherwise, just in one of the homes I got to go to, it wasn't Ellie's home, but in the other home we visited, we found out that the little girl's dad had passed away about 10 months ago. And just how the Lord, we would have never known that the Lord had orchestrated it this way, but her sponsor leads our grief ministry and had lost a son before. And so she was able to speak life to that mom. Like, I've lost a family member as well, and to share scripture with her.
Yeah.
And, and that was, of course, they've been sponsors for probably a couple years now, but the Lord knew that they needed to be together, and so that was really cool. And so, had not gone on the trip, you wouldn't know that. And so the Lord showed us what he had done. It was awesome.
Yeah, because that's not something you necessarily just kind of put in your letter to someone that feels so far away.
Yeah, she had no idea. And I'll also say that, when you're there, you see how important it is to write letters to them and how precious our letters are to them. So our letters at our home, they don't have a lot of furniture. Really, the first home we went in, there was really no furniture. It was very bare. But at Ellie's home, she did have a few dressers and a table. And one of the dressers, I didn't even see at the time. I saw them take the letters out of the dresser, but one of the other trip members was there. And she's like, "Did you see that they were locked up?" And I was like, "No." And so they had a key. They had unlocked the dresser, and they, of course, they keep them in like a plastic folder just to keep them really safe. And so she got those out to show us, "Hey, these are our letters." And, so they keep them, and it's just very special to them. And so they treasure them. We got to write our children, make sure we get that app and send letters often.
Yeah. So, your oldest son was with you. Like, how did this trip affect him? Like, what do you think he got from this?
So he had a great time. I was grateful he got to have the experience to just even to be in another country. He'd never been in another country before, especially getting to be in a Spanish-speaking country was neat. He's in Spanish class this year. So that was fun. He loved playing with the kids and, of course, meeting Ellie. I loved how she didn't just come to me. She would go to him, if we've given them a gift or whatever, she'd come give him a hug and include him too. And, her mom especially would always make sure, that make sure she's hugging on Gavin and, including him. And that was so sweet. And it was just fun to hear her holler out at him or whatever they would say. The way they would say his name was so funny. They say, "Gavin." It was Gavin, but they'd be like, "Gavin, Gavin." I said, "I'm going to have a hard time going back to Gavin when we get home. This is fun." And several teenage guys went with their moms, and we all had signed up independently of each other. Like, we didn't know they were going. And so when I found out that others were going, I'm like, "Lord, that's so cool that you put these boys together on this trip." So I love that they had that experience together. And the Compassion kids, of course, had a lot of fun playing with these teenage boys. So he had a great time.
Yeah, that's really special. Did they all go to the same school and stuff too?
Nope, different schools, but we knew each other from church.
Okay, yeah, cool. Very cool though. So do y'all plan to go back with the rest of your family one day?
I would love to. Yes, we would love to take all of our kids someday. I know Ellie, of course, wants us to bring all of our kids, and so we'll see. I would love to.
Oh, yeah. So can you take a moment to speak on why missions in general are so important?
For sure. I mean, first of all, the Lord commands us, in the Great Commission to go and make disciples. Great Commission is Matthew 28. It's at the end of Matthew, and it's Jesus' last words to his disciples. So, what he wants to, leave them with. He said,
"Don't forget this."
Absolutely. He said, "Go and make disciples." So, we are called to that mission as well, to go and to make disciples, and of course where we are, but also going. Of course, that's why missions are important, specifically for our family. I'd always wanted to take my kids on a mission trip, but as we were planning this trip and just thinking about how this could affect, my son and our children, I really gained a new perspective or vision or whatever for really wanting to make mission trips a priority for our family. Yeah, just thinking about the perspective they would gain, from being in another country, or, even in the U.S., just getting to be in another city and going, our church will have family mission trips to Colorado or whatever, all that, but just getting to experience other cultures, meeting believers around the world, like I said, seeing those leaders up there that are going to be specifically going on mission in their own community, and just the worldview that our children could have being on mission trips, and just spiritually for them, just being able to serve and share their faith. So I really, really want to make like missions a priority for our family.
Yeah.
That is a new passion I have.
Yeah, I think it could really, like, I love that our church kind of have made more opportunities for like North American missions as well, like the Colorado one.
Yes.
And even New Orleans,
Yeah.
Because I agree, because I think it just having their eyes opened, and having their heart pierced for compassion. 'Cause I feel like that's a big component of our faith, is that, because that's how our Lord is. He's compassionate towards all of his creation, which means that's how he wants us to be as well. And it's hard to do that when you stay in your own little bubble.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely agree.
For sure.
But going back to Compassion International, why should someone join them? I mean, there are some others out there, but why Compassion International?
Sure. Yeah. So I can't speak to any others, but, being with Compassion has been incredible.
Yeah.
Michael is very quick to speak how highly he feels about Compassion as an organization, which, I feel as well. So we have the perspective of being a sponsor, but also as a church partner, them working together with starting the center. And, just it's amazing to think of the difference that they're making all over the world. They have other ministries as well. Like I know that they do, some health ministries for children. Our leader told us about one where they're starting with expecting moms even.
Oh, wow.
So they're trying to start with babies from the womb and early development and all that. So they have lots of different, things they have going on. And so it's just neat to be a small part of their ministry.
Yeah. I like the global connectedness of it all. Because we really are connected, and that's really beautiful.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So how does one become a part of it? Like, if someone wanted to sign up today, like, where do they go? How do they do that?
Yeah. So their website is compassion.com. I went to look at it before I came.
Yeah.
Just so I could speak to what's on there. But they actually have a get involved button. So you can go to that. And there were more opportunities that I didn't even realize or know about. I even think that they have a Compassion store. Of course, you can just donate. If you're not ready to sponsor a child, they have a section where you can donate. But yeah, so sponsoring a child would be a great way to start, though. They still have countless children that need sponsors.
Yeah. Well, Abby, thank you for so much coming on my show and sharing your story. I really enjoyed it. I'll always love hearing about different countries and cultures and everything. And so it's really great to hear about how it all happened for you and your family and for Gavin.
Absolutely.
Gavin. Very, I would have a hard time going back to Gavin. Be Gavin forever.
Yes. Well, I loved being here. Thank you for having me. I love getting to share about our trip. My name is Abby, and this is my story of the middle.
I'm your host, Brandy Bostic, and you've been listening to the Up From the Muck podcast. For merch or just other uplifting stories, and go to my website at upfromthemuck.com.
Psalm 40, verse 2. He brought me up from the desolate pit, out of the muddy clay, and set my feet on the rock, making my steps secure.